So far we have completed session number 1, the pre-proposal preparation, and we discussed that what are the different funding organizations, how can you complete your homework, identify different relevant projects, and to have a good fit with your organization, and some journal writing tips for writing down a strong proposal. Now, this is session 2, which is the actual proposal writing. So in this session, we'll be discussing about the different key elements of a proposal. What are the key elements that should be there in a proposal? Now, these elements are basically very common, and these are standards in different grants proposals. So you need to understand what are the purposes of each element in this proposal. And when you understand it, you will only then be able to write it down more effectively. So if I can start from the first slide, I'm first going to share the names of all the key elements for the proposal, and then I'll be discussing each element in more detail. Now, though different funders have different requirements, but most of the proposal, as I said earlier, it will include the following components. Number 1, summary, introduction, what is the definition of the issue? Sometimes it is also called the problem statement or the problem, desired results, and we have divided the desired result into 3 different components, which are what are the output results, the outcome results, and the impact. I'll be discussing this in detail. Then comes the area of resources and activities, what type of resources and what type of activities and how can you put them in your proposal. Later we'll be discussing about the budget, how can you make more precise, to the point and effective budget. What is the evaluation plan? How will you sustain your project after completion of the project time? And then we'll conclude and discuss some points about what goes in the appendix section. We also call it appendices. So these are some of the key elements that will be discussed in this session. So let's just start formally the first key element, which is the summary of the report. Now, it is recommended that the summary should not go beyond 2 pages. It should be clear and concise. And it should also show the overall vision of the project, what you want to achieve through this project. Stress on the areas that how and where your initiative will affect your target audience and community. So the summary section will also have some information about this bit as well. Briefly mention your group's track record, the past projects if you have done them any, the issues that will be addressed, what were the key that were addressed in the past projects, what were the key outcomes and the methods you will use. Also, you would need to list any resources that have already been committed to this project. So you need to confirm those resources in the summary section. And be positive and exciting, proactive, as I said earlier. Use active voice, because you want to actually convince the reader to keep reading and that this project should be considered for funding. So this is the first thing that the reader will read. So if it's catchy, if it attracts the reader and he keeps reading, that means that the summary has achieved its purpose. Now, I usually recommend to write down this summary right at the end of your proposal. When you complete all the other elements, only then you come back and write down the summary. Okay. Next up is the introduction part. Now this part should be particularly written after the summary. So it's like before the summary. So it's like the second last. So when you complete all the other elements, you need to write down the introduction, and then at the last you need to write down the summary of your proposal. So this is basically second to last. Here in this section, you need to write down what your group or your organization does. What is the purpose, what is the vision, mission, goals, and the activities that you are involved in. This is the area where you will establish your organization's credibility. So for that purpose, if you have completed any previous projects, you need to mention it here. And if you have received any testimonials in the form of previous clients, you can also put them here. If necessary, provide some statistics to back up your claims. Now here, this is the third section, which is the definition of the issues. In this section, you will clearly describe what the issues are. What are the problems that need to be addressed, that you are actually trying to solve. So what are those areas? And also you need to highlight here why these problems are important to be addressed. What can be the implications if they are left untouched or unaddressed? So you need to specify how your initiative will address that particular issue. What is its importance, number one, and then the solution. So how your project initiative will address the issue. So here you need to be realistic. How can you achieve that? How can you accomplish that? So you need to present the issue in terms of the client's or community's needs and not your group's needs. As I said earlier, the human element, the societal needs. Identify the societal needs and address them, not your particular personal organizational needs. And be clear about the specific target audience or the segment of society or community that is going to be affected by the issue. Highlight that area as much as you can. While doing so, you also need to briefly describe what is the legal and political environment like. What are the stakeholders? If you have any literature available around the topic, put that literature here. And if you have any previous reports and evaluation reports available, you can also quote some of the reports from there as well in this area. Try to provide the most up-to-date information as much as possible for actually backing up your claims, for supporting your statements about the issues. And while you do that, you make sure that you quote the sources where you are getting that information from to increase your credibility and accuracy for the claims that you are making. And this will also help you in convincing the readers more that these are the real issues and that should be addressed. Okay, so these were the first three elements that I discussed in this video. And when we come back in the next video, we'll be discussing about what are the desired results. Okay, just bear with me for that. Thank you.